Hi, and welcome back to Midlife Ascension, the place where we talk about astrology, healing, and what the heck is really going on at midlife. Today, we're diving into Chiron in the houses because your Chiron sign shows you what your core wound is, but your house placement shows you exactly where it shows up in your life. I've already done a series on Chiron by sign, so if you need a refresher, feel free to check that out here. For the rest of us, pull up your birth chart. You can pull one for free at astro.com or astroseek.com and look to where Chiron, which is a symbol that looks like this, falls in your chart. The sign falls along the outside. So the sign will be here on the outside, and then the house will be in this little wheel on the inside, and you'll have numbers that show you where to look. By the end of this video, you'll understand what the house placement means for you regarding your Chiron wound and how you can begin healing it, no matter where you're starting from. Let's go. So Chiron in the first house. This is the wound of self-identity and appearance. You may have grown up feeling invisible, rejected, or convinced that something was wrong with you. Maybe you struggled with self-image, you hid your body, or avoided the spotlight altogether. Healing comes when you begin to stand unapologetically in who you are, allowing yourself to take up space and be fully seen. You teach others how to embrace themselves just as they are when you heal this wound. Chiron in the second house. This is the wound of self-worth and security. You may have tied your value to what you earn or what you own, or felt undeserving of love and comfort. Financial struggles or overcompensating through work could stem from this wound as well. Healing comes when you realize that your worth is intrinsic. It's not something that you have to prove, earn, or buy. You can create stability from within and help others reclaim their self-esteem too when you heal this wound. Talking about Chiron in the second house. So if you have Chiron in the sign of Taurus, right, the wound of worth and security, you feel like your value depends on external things like money, looks, possessions, and that falls in your second house, that wound shows up for you in personal finances and self-esteem. You might overwork, overspend, or hoard resources because you feel like you'll never have enough, or constantly doubt your worth when it comes to earning. Healing is realizing that you are inherently worthy and cultivating internal security rather than relying on material validation will bring you success. Chiron in the third house. This is the wound of communication and intellect. Maybe you felt misunderstood, silenced, or dismissed when you spoke up. School may have been a pretty painful experience, or you doubted your ability to express yourself clearly. Healing comes when you find your voice and your own truth, no matter how imperfect it may be. You show others that it's safe to speak and be heard. Let's say you have Chiron in the sign of Gemini, which is the wound of communication. You feel misunderstood, dismissed, or afraid to speak up. If this shows up for you in your third house, this means the wound shows up in your learning, speaking, and relationships with siblings or your close peers. You may avoid sharing your thoughts in school, in meetings, or even in casual conversations. Or you might feel the need to over-explain yourself because you fear being misunderstood by people. Healing involves embracing your voice and trusting that you have something important to say and expressing it clearly. Chiron in the fourth house. This is the wound of family and emotional foundations. Your childhood home may have felt unsafe, cold, or unstable. You may have carried feelings of abandonment or never felt like you truly belonged anywhere. Healing comes when you create a nurturing home, internally and externally, and learn that safety is something that you can give yourself. All right, so we're talking about the fourth house now. So let's say you have Chiron in the sign of Cancer, which is the wound of belonging and emotional safety. You feel like you don't have a home or aren't truly loved. And this is showing up for you in your fourth house. That means that this wound shows up for you in your family and your home life. You might feel alienated from your family or struggle to create a safe home for yourself or repeat family patterns that leave you feeling unanchored. Healing comes when you create your own emotional foundation and define what home means to you on your own terms. Chiron in the fifth house. This is the wound of joy, creativity, and self-expression. Perhaps you were told that your ideas were silly or that your authentic self just wasn't acceptable. You may have learned to hide your creative spark or deny yourself pleasure. Healing comes when you reclaim your creativity, embrace play, and allow yourself to shine, simply because it brings you joy. Chiron in the sixth house. This is the wound of health, service, and daily life. You may have struggled with chronic illness, burnout, or feeling like you're never doing enough. You might overgive and forget your needs in service to others. Healing comes when you honor your body, set boundaries with your energy, and find meaning in your routines without losing yourself in them. Chiron in the seventh house. This is the wound of relationship and partnerships. You may have experienced betrayal, abandonment, or codependent dynamics that made you fear intimacy or simply avoid it altogether. Healing comes when you build equal, loving partnerships where you can both give and receive without losing your identity. So, for example, for the seventh house, if you have your Chiron in the sign of Leo, this is the wound of visibility and self-expression. You may feel unworthy of being seen or celebrated. You may struggle with confidence or to simply hide your creative light. If this wound shows up in the seventh house for you, so the sign is Leo, the house is in the seventh house, this means this wound shows up in your relationships. You might constantly feel overshadowed by your partners, avoid expressing yourself in relationships out of fear of rejection, or simply choose partners who don't value your light. Healing comes when you learn to bring your authentic self into partnerships without diminishing your shine. Chiron in the eighth house. This is the wound of trust, intimacy, and transformation. You may have endured loss, betrayal, or painful emotional entanglements that left you afraid to be vulnerable or trust others, or even yourself for that matter. Healing comes when you embrace your emotional depth, you lean into transformation, and reclaim the power that you thought you lost. Chiron in the ninth house. This is the wound of faith, meaning, and belonging. You may have felt like a spiritual outsider, disconnected from your roots, or unable to find your place in the world. Perhaps you questioned everything and feared that there was no real truth to find. Healing comes when you allow yourself to explore, to find your own beliefs, and find meaning in the journey itself. Chiron in the 10th house. This is the wound of career, reputation, and success. You may have felt overlooked, criticized, or unworthy of recognition, or like nothing you achieved was ever enough. Healing comes when you redefine what success means to you and pursue a path that feels meaningful rather than just performative. So an example of a 10th house wound, let's say you have Chiron in Scorpio, which is the wound of trust, control, and transformation. You have a fear of betrayal or losing power. If you have this in your 10th house, your Chiron sign in Scorpio showing up in your 10th house, this wound shows up in your career and public image. You may avoid leadership roles because you fear being taken down. You might sabotage career opportunities because of hidden fears of failure or power struggles. Healing comes when you trust yourselves and your ability to lead authentically and transforming how you show up in the world. Chiron in the 11th house. This is the wound of community and belonging. You may have felt like the perpetual outsider, unable to find your people, misunderstood in groups, or excluded from friendships. Healing comes when you create your own supportive community and show others that it's okay to just belong as you are. Chiron in the 12th house. This is the wound of spirituality and the unseen. You may have felt haunted by your hidden fears, unexplained anxieties, or a sense of disconnection from yourself or the divine. Healing comes when you face your shadows, explore your inner world, and discover that even the unseen parts of you are worthy of love. So as you can see, your Chiron house placement shows you where your deepest wounds and greatest healing potential live. Remember, your wound is not your flaw, it is your calling. Don't forget to subscribe for more grounded, soulful astrology and midlife healing. You deserve to heal and to rise.